Which is better, to date a girl around 25, 26 from a big city that's going to be easier for you to mentally connect with if you're a smart entrepreneur like I am, obviously a big city girl who's a bit older and has a little more experience, going to be easier to connect with, or a girl who's 19, 20 years old from a small town. Obviously, both have massive differences and massive pros and cons, and I'm going to document my experience with two girls, one of them being a girl from a big city. We'll call her Monica for the sake of this video, around, yeah, that 25, 26-year-old range, and dating, let's call her Tiffany, a small town girl around the age of 19 and 20 years old. So before I even get into this, what I do is I build men an automated system for meeting women on Instagram. However, even though that's the best strategy, nothing makes a bigger difference in your results in dating. I think I'll have a greater impact other than changing your location. So even if you have, Casey Redbeard, the best guy doing all your photography, building the entire system, but you're in a shitty dating market, it's not going to work. Like, bro, sometimes quick side tangent, I have 55-year-old fat Indian clients in New York City who want to date 21-year-old blonde girls. I'm like, dude, no one can help you get to that goal. Like, you are delusional as hell. So your environment makes the big difference. And should you go look for girls in a big city, what's the pros and cons of that? A bit older, maybe perhaps too. Although I find the bigger difference is not so much in age, it's more location, although age plays into a factor. So we'll kind of kill two birds with one stone, age in big city versus younger in small town. So let's talk about, at a high level, before I get into the details and document my specific experience. Obviously, the girls from the big city are easier to connect with mentally, but they're more feisty, they're less submissive, they're less traditional, and overall, they can just be a bit crazier. Right? And then you have the small town girls, a lot more obedient, a lot more submissive, better values. They're often prettier than the big city girls. However, they lack that ability to mentally connect with them. And then sometimes, not all girls, but sometimes they're just it's almost like having a pet that you kind of take care of, which is not what I'm looking for. I'm not having, trying to find some fairly, mindless, yeah, what can I say, pet that I take care of. I want a girl who, can contribute something in the conversation. Not as much as I don't know, I definitely don't want, partners. It's definitely the co-pilot role. But anyway, let's get into the video. So first things first, I met all of these girls on Instagram, both of them, because of my amazing photography. Hey guys, back to the video in about 10 seconds. But first, if you want to get a photo shoot with me that led to amazing results for my buddy Alex, he actually got a hot Brazilian girlfriend within a week of doing his photo shoot with me, then go to my Instagram, RedbeardRants1, and DM me the word photo shoot. All right, back to the video. All right, we're back to the video, so I don't want to get side tangent. Super high status photography, and boom, these girls are biting. It's like when you throw bait into the water, all the bass fish jump up to grab the bait. They were doing that, and this first girl, again, we'll call her Monica, was what I said, yeah, for the pros and cons. So she worked at a nice real estate agency in her city, and she worked with AI, which was really cool for me because I love talking about AI. I think it's so cool. And it made it a lot easier for me to connect with her mentally, okay? So she did this job where she did a lot of things. She's kind of like a chameleon in the business, really smart, really adaptable girl. And because she's kind of in the business world, I could talk about that stuff. But back to the AI stuff, it was something like there was a tech spot that texted all the wealthy landowners in her city and her country, and her job was to contact them, get them on a sales call, buy the undeveloped land that these wealthy landowners own, convince them to sell it to her company, where they would then develop the land and then sell it back to somebody else for a profit. That was their thing. And it was really cool because I like talking about this shit. I like talking about business. I like talking about AI. And it was really in general, just easy to talk to her. I felt like if I ever wanted to say, hey, look, you don't work anymore. You're just going to travel the world with me or whatever and kind of add value to my business. She could figure stuff out. She could maybe, I don't know, help write the emails or do, research on, YouTube video ideas, or I could plug her into my business and she could get it and she could understand it. And it was just overall a bit easier to talk to. Now, again, I'm not looking for a business partner. She was very feminine and submissive. Actually, on that tangent, on that thread, I have this copy and paste text messages database. I've been doing this for a really long time, as you can imagine. About 3/4 of the girls that I meet come from some online platform, usually Instagram, a little bit of dating apps, but mostly just Instagram. And every time I sent a good message, I put in this database and saved it. You guys can learn more. There'll be some type of link in the description of this video about my copy and paste text messages database and my full funnel that I use to have the same conversation with every girl. And I told Monica through a voice message. I have, like in the messages database, I have them copy and pasted for ease of use for guys in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. But I sent it out as a voice message because I just like to do voice notes. And I said something to the effect of like, hey, Monica, I see you spend a lot of time in the US, and I want to be quite frank with you. I'm not looking for this 50-50 type relationship of like a modern feminist woman. You know, I'm the boss, I'm the leader, I'm the man. I'm looking for more of like a girl to be like a co-pilot role in my life. I would always treat her with respect and, treat her like a princess, spoil her. Like you never have to worry about, money with me. We can just travel the world. I can, take care of all the expenses, but I'm the leader. There's no mistake about that. I just want to make sure like we're on the same page, with that's the type of guy that you're looking for, highly masculine guy that likes to be the leader. She basically had an orgasm. I mean, like I could like felt like I was laying on my bed, I had the phone next to me, and then all this water, it was her pussy juices from the phone. No, but like she basically had an orgasm. She was like, oh, like I love that. I hate, she actually said there was like, I hate, she did it in Spanish, odio las feministas. She said, I hate feminists. Men and women will never be equal, just by our nature, blah, 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 blah. And it's more likely that a big city girl would have opinions like that and be able to relate to like, what's going on in cultural movements, what's going on in politics. Again, I'm not looking for a political commentator for my girlfriend. So like, relax. I get it. I want a feminine presence. I think we're on the same page here. I think you guys get it too. So that was overall the pros with her. Easy to connect with. I felt like she was an adult. I felt like, heaven forbid something happened to me and we had kids together. She could, quote unquote, lead the family to some degree, in the same values that we had as parents, instill that in the children. And what else can I say? Just, easy to talk to, more relatable. Now, the disadvantages. She was obviously not a hyper masculine, what's the word, like rebellious or combative woman. But I remember just like little things that contrasted with, we'll get into Tiffany, the, 19-year-old. She was 19 or 20. I think she was 20. She just turned 20 from a small town. We'll get into, the experience with her, what it was like with her in just a second. But I remember one time, and I just do these things. I kind of fuck with girls. I'm like, I'm from the future. You're my girlfriend in the future. I already know this. We live here. We're planning a baby. You actually have a bun in the oven now. Our first son is going to be a boy. We're going to name him Vincent. I chose the name, but then you get to choose the name. Like, I'm from the future. Like, we're already together. And I basically said something kind of like playful. I'm like, babe, at this point, like the first time ever meeting, she actually came directly to my, long story. She's not this type of, but whatever. She came directly to my apartment. We had a little fight and she wanted to make up. So she came directly to my apartment at like 12 a.m. But anyway, I said something to the effect of like, you're my pet now. You're just like my little pet. I'm just going to keep you in my suitcase. I'm going to travel the world, do my thing, kind of roam around. And you're going to be like my little pet. Mascota is the word in Spanish. And just kind of like, follow me around and I'm going to lead and that's going to be that. And, I guess she didn't like the word calling her like a pet. I meant in like a funny way. And I'm trying to get like that emotional spike, girls like emotion, right? Girls like the roller coaster of emotion. They like to be, fucked with and, teased and, very playful guys and stuff like that. So I was doing that. And she's like, no, like, fuck that. Like, you're going to be my pet. And it just like, it wasn't like a turnoff per se, but, let's just use this as a clear segue into dating Tiffany. Tiffany never would have said some shit like that. Even if like the word, look, and I get it. I'm not saying like your girl has to be okay with being referred to as a pet on the very first encounter in person. We had done video calls and stuff, but our very first in-person encounter, it was meant to be a joke. But like Tiffany would have been like, ha ha ha, I know, que pecado. That's how Pisces talk. But anyway, she would have just been like, haha, like, you're being a bully, haha, or something like that. She would have just been very like, why would you say, like, in a very like, cute, like, a way. And obviously it was a joke. And I never like used that line on Tiffany, but Tiffany never would have had even like a moment of like back talk. And that's not to say she was like mindless, didn't ever appeal. Like she made it very clear she wanted to have sex. Actually, I never had sex with Tiffany. She didn't want to have sex. I did other things with her, but she never wanted to have sex until like, like a month into it. Again, that's like the very traditional small town values. Whereas Monica, we had sex right away on the second time, not the first time I saw her, but on the second time we had sex right away. Again, yeah, that's another, let's add that to this. Bigger city girls are going to have higher body counts. I'll bring it all together at the end. We'll talk about all the advantages and disadvantages. And like, I'll make like virtually like a Venn diagram or like, like a table, something like that with the pros and cons. But yeah, back to Tiffany. So she never would have said like anything a little rebellious like that. But as you can imagine, a 20-year-old girl from a small town. I didn't know like really what to talk about with this girl. One thing about a girl like that is I think over a long term in a relationship, you can kind of raise them in a non-incestual way, like almost like you're like the father figure they did. You can kind of like mold the way they think, mold their thoughts. Truly feminine women do this anyway. So anyone that this guy's, opening about being a groomer and this guy's talking about manipulation and control, it's not about that. Truly feminine women of any age are always gonna form their thoughts and opinions, like whatever sports team the guy likes. She now likes that sports team. Whatever political views the guy has, she's going to start to lean, like women just look up to men for like leadership and guidance, assuming they have a feminine personality, regardless of age, regardless of big city girls. But I'm just saying younger, smaller town girls are going to be a lot more like that. I'm not necessarily looking to like, raise a drone that thinks exactly like me, but I'm just saying, like, for example, let's say I went all in on Tiffany, right? I could, at this point in career, the cash flow is starting to come in. So thank you guys for helping me achieve all my dreams on that. Hey guys, back to the video in 10 seconds, I promise, but real quick, if you want a list of all the hottest girls in your area from Instagram so you can stop using dating apps, which are garbage, and meet hotter, more receptive, less flaky women on Instagram, then go to my Instagram page, which is RedbeardRants1, and DM me the word scraper, and I'll give you more information. All right, back to the video. All right, we're back. So thank you guys for helping me support my dreams. So if I was to go with Tiffany, I could maybe get her a little mentor that could just say like some type of business mentor, give her a task, be like, hey, you got to set up like a TikTok shop. I don't even know what that even really means. I know I see on my ads, TikTok shop is the greatest opportunity, and to build a Shopify store and AI can run the whole thing from the ads. I'm like, make ads, use AI, figure it out, give her like, a credit card with like budget on it, figure it out. And then learn how to problem solve, learn how to think outside the box, learn how to, I don't know, quote unquote, like be an adult, be smart, be problem solving. I guess that's a bit like teach her how to be a fucking problem solver, teach her how to be a goddamn problem solver and just figure shit out. And I think, 20, 21, 22, 23, by that age of me just kind of giving her, all types of tasks, she could be at that mental level. And it's just like, do you want to invest in a young, beautiful, girl like that? But at the same time, like I'm in another city. I won't say the name of it because it's for protection, right? But I'm in Brazil, kind of a remote city, smaller city, beautiful girls. But like I was on a date last night. I guess girls are like shy in the first dates too. But like she was 21. I don't know what the fuck I was going to talk to with this girl about. And again, more so than the age, a big city girl, like a girl from Guadalajara. I hate that dating market, by the way, because it is like it's like America Junior. But I will say, being that it's like practically America, again, it comes with the masculinity, it comes with the delusional sense of entitlement, but fuck if I have any problems like connecting or talking to like a city girl from Guadalajara. The romantic side didn't work with these girls, so obviously it was a bust. But yeah, back to Tiffany, is that what I changed her name to? Back to Tiffany, beautiful girl, really good values, but I just didn't know what the fuck to talk about with this girl. I truly didn't. So let's kind of bring it all together. I have some notes here. We'll talk about, one more thing about Tiffany. And this is like, you get this a lot of like small town girls and young girls, but just small town girls of any age. She actually said, we were talking on the phone, and I said, what are you looking for? That same line that I used on Monica, like, I want to be the boss, I want to be the leader, but I'll always worship you. Or not worship you. What did I say? I didn't say worship you. All I said, take care of you, protect you, provide for you, treat you like a princess is what I said. No, I didn't say I would worship you. I said I would always treat you like a princess. And Tiffany basically had an orgasm to that line as well. Again, my whole full text messages database, there's a description, there's a link in the description of the video how to get that. And I said when she responded with what she's looking for, her words, not mine. Actually, no, I take that back. I asked her first. That's how I didn't even say what I wanted yet. I didn't get on my spiel about I want to be the masculine man, the masculine presence. I hadn't even gotten to that yet. Tiffany brought that up first, and she said, I'm looking for a man to be my leader, someone I could look up to and respect, an older guy who has more experience than me, and I just want to give all my love and all my obedience to him. And I was like, the scene from Wolf of Wall Street where he's like, can you say that again? Just the way you said it. I said that, and she's like, yeah, I'm looking for a guy to give all my love and all my obedience to. Obediencia, obedience. She said in Spanish, obviously. And I was like, holy shit, unprompted, not trying to mold what I, said. Because again, she went first. she told me that she's looking for a guy to give all her love and obedience to. And, Monica or whatever, she thought like that in theory, but she was not going to, I don't think she would use the word like obedient, which was, it was really fucking hot. Like, it really turned me on when Tiffany said it. So just to summarize again, the big city girls, older especially, but not even necessarily older, just, bigger city girls, 23, 24, 25, going to be a lot easier to connect with. And you have to decide sacrificing some, like longer term, beauty because they're a bit older, or even if the city girl is, younger, the same age as like a small town girl. You're going to get just more combativeness, more entitlement. I won't go on this rant again, but girls from like really big cities are pretty much ruined because their reality is just like, do you want some money? Take all my money. Do you want a helicopter ride? Should we go to this club? Anything you want. Oh, this wine. You don't like the grapes in this wine? Well, tell me the wine that has the particular style of fucking grapes that you like. I thought there was red and green, like purple, whatever, red and green grapes. I didn't know there was like millions of varieties of fucking grapes until I started dating fucking fresas, which is, a fresa is, what is a fresa? Like a spoiled rich girl in Guadalajara who complained that the fucking grapes weren't the right type. As if a small town girl is ever going to complain that like, oh, this wine, like, if the label was forged to say it was a different type of grapes, you couldn't even fucking tell the difference, you fucking dummy. But anyway, you're going to get more entitlement. More girls are just used to being spoiled. If they're hot, if they're ugly, then I guess they're maybe not used to being spoiled. But you're probably watching the wrong channel because we don't talk about, strategies or, theories on how to attract and date ugly bitches on this channel. So big city girls are going to be a bit more combative, a bit more entitled, a bit more pampered their whole life. They're not going to see you as much of like a rock star. They're going to see you as more easily replaceable. They may put their careers, they may be like, have like difficult schedules. They may be difficult to coordinate plans with because they're always working and they're very focused on their career. But, oh my God, are they going to be a lot easier to talk to, a lot easier to connect with, and just like less boring. They're just like more interesting, more relatable to your world and what you probably deal with. On the contrast, every advantage that, the big city girls and older big city girls have, the younger small town girls lack those advantages, but make up for it with other things. Like they complement each other, right? You're going to sacrifice the intelligence and not even also like, genetic, like intelligence, but just education and higher level thinking mindset. You're going to sacrifice that mindset and that higher level thinking for, somebody who's very, very simple. You may get bored around them a lot, but fuck if they're going to give you any back talk. Fuck if they're going to give you any problems. Fuck if they're not going to be extremely appreciative and show gratitude. Like, oh my God, you're paying my dinner and the Uber. Oh my God, like this is unbelievable. I can't believe, like, I've never been spoiled by a guy before. It's just crazy. Yeah, I get Uber and a dinner. This is fucking amazing. You're a fairy tale prince, right? But again, like I said a million times, you're going to sacrifice that ability to connect. And ultimately, only you know what you want as a guy. Like, some guys, they're like, look, higher level thinking, deep conversations, all that stuff. That is for my male friends. That's what I have male friendships for. For my woman, I just want her to be soft. I don't need to, I can just put on, Netflix with her and just let her, fucking watch it and, whatever with her, just kind of cuddle up. And I don't need that, deep thinking. Me, I want a deeper thinker. I've realized that I can't just have like a mindless sex slave drone. I need a girl who is at least, at somewhat of a higher IQ thinking. We can connect on things. I can talk about all my, because you think I just rant alone in a room. Like it's kind of weird. Just like talk to yourself alone in a room like I'm doing now. I also like to rant to other human beings, not just to camera lenses alone in a room. I actually have the, bustling brain with, thoughts that I like to share with human beings in the three-dimensional world as well. And I want my girl to be able to be on the same level and connect with me. But ultimately, you decide what's right for you. Don't let anybody tell you that what you want is wrong or you're being manipulative or a groomer or whatever for being a guy who's my age, 37, and wanted to date a 20-year-old. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I hope you guys learned something. I hope you gave you guys like some perspective because you guys, look, what you guys are analyzing, like putting yourself in the category, like who you are probably. And you're like, okay, this guy saved me a bunch of time. I can go to a small, boring city and, meet a girl there. and I can sacrifice the like high level mental connection for just, pure submissiveness and obedience and, more feminine personality. Or you're like me, you're in the other camp. You're like, yeah, it sounds good on paper, but then you're actually with them and you're just bored out of your fucking mind and da 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 da. I'll sacrifice a little bit of obedience. And look, shameless plug. The idea is to have so many fucking leads here. Editor Mo, put like all the screenshots of all like the follow backs that I get per day. The idea, like the end goal is to get like a completely automated system for meeting women that I build for clients and have so many options that you can find the best of both worlds. You can find a girl in a bigger city who has the high mental capacity, but also just loves being insanely feminine and obedient to her man. Okay, that is the end of the video. Subscribe for more free game. Cheers.